You're on.
Hi, my name is Genavieria Owen. I was born in Akron, Ohio, in July 10, 1934. So I remember a little bit about the Great Depression too. I now live in Evansville, Indiana. And during the World War, I was 7 years old when it started, and I remember hearing FDR Roosevelt tell about when the war started in December 7th. And it scared me, the way he sounded and then the way the adults around me acted. It scared me. And I'd have to walk back and forth to school. And we had these white flags in the windows for people that had people in the services. They had gold stars. But when the service purpose and got killed in action, they had a red star. There was this one person had 7 gold stars on this flag on the house I walked to school. When the 7th star turned red, I started bawling, and I ran up to her house and knocked on her door, and I told her, I'm sorry. And we held each other and cried for a few minutes till we both quit crying. And she said, thank you for coming. And we had to get rations. Everything was rationed. And I had to get the ration books at school. So my mother went one time with me to school to sign up where I could get the rations where she didn't have to go every time, because she was working at Firestone. And one thing that was rationed was sugar. So one time a person brought her a bushel of grapes. She said, how am I going to can these grapes and make jelly out of them, because I can't get enough sugar? She had this friend that had a restaurant. He brought her a 50-pound bag of sugar, sat on the porch on the back porch. We got up that morning, there was a 50-pound bag of sugar on that back porch so she could can them jelly. She gave a jar of jelly to almost everybody in our block, because none of them could have jelly. And my mother was really a Rosie the Riveter. She worked at Firestone, and they had a open house at Firestone one summer day. And we was under this big airplane, and under the wings of this big airplane, and she said, you see them rivets up there? She said, I put them rivets in that wing of that airplane. So every time they talk about Rosie the Riveter or see a picture, I remember my mother doing that. So it was good. And one thing that was rationed was gas. So there was not much population, not much traffic, in cars at that time. So, and we lived on a block that was on a hill that was 5 blocks long. So in the winter time we had a lot of snow. So us kids all like to get on the block, like to get out, go sledding. So we get up the top of the block. We lived in about the 3rd block. We go up the top of the block and slid all the way down to the bottom of the block where they ended up in the gas station. Because they said, wasn't that dangerous? I said, well, there wasn't no cars around because there was no gas. So it was all fun. We really had fun going down that block because it was all gas rationing. My mother met me one time at school, and because she said there was a factory that had a big explosion. And she took me home and found out it was somebody had gone in there and set a bomb in that factory. And she had to take me home because we had to go all around the factory in Akron. And my dad worked at Goodrich. And he hand cut rubber for tires for the airplanes and Jeeps and everything for the people, for the military. And then in the summer, my grandparents lived in Illinois, close to Fairfield, Illinois. So we would ride a train over there from Akron to, I think it was Mount Vernon or someplace where you had to get off the train and come back. Anyway, there would be lots of soldiers on the train in their khaki uniforms. And they always helped my mother take care of us kids, and she'd give them some chicken. She'd make her fry about three chickens that she could give to the soldiers and everything. We'd all eat. And you go in the women's restroom, there was this little sitting area, then you had to go to another little room to go to the toilet. But we had to step over soldiers in that sitting room because they was all laying down asleep. But they was all really nice. We did not ever have to, nobody had to worry about anything bad happening on the trains. But I was at my aunt's house, and we'd gone down to visit my aunt in St. Augustine, Florida. She lived south of St. Augustine, Florida, when the war ended. And I remember going into St. Augustine that night. Bombs going off, fireworks and everything else. So everybody was so happy. And every business was closed because everybody celebrated. And the mother said in Akron too, said that all the business was closed. Her brother-in-law had come in from Illinois. And he was going to turn around the next day and go back, and he couldn't get gas because all the gas station stores and everything else was closed. So it was good. And about the Holocaust, I was in 5th grade, and they had this paper in school. They sent us home. And this paper, though, I still remember the picture. It had a big pile of human beings on this big pile. And it was scary looking at that pictures. They finally quit sending them to the schools, and I was so glad because it scared kids to see all them pictures. We moved from Akron to Wayne City, Illinois at the end of the war. So I started 6th grade in Wayne City. In Akron, there was 3 rooms for each grade. In Wayne City, there were 2 grades in each room. So the 5th and 6th grade was in a room, 7th and 8th. So big difference in the schools and everything. And then when I graduated high school in 1952, I came to Evansville. I did not want to get too far from Mother. So I just came to Evansville, and she brought me here. I got a room, went to the WWCA, got a room. They sent me a place, and I got ordered a room, and then before the week was out, I got a job at an insurance company, which really now is a parking lot. It was at 4th and Sycamore, Green and Green Insurance Company, which is now a parking lot. So that's why I moved here and been here ever since. So, and then I worked in sewing factories. Started in 1960 in Shane's uniform at 75 cents an hour because that was the minimum wage. September it went up to $1 an hour. Then in the winters of 77, 78, 79 in there when we had that blizzards, a lot of the stuff was shutting down. So Shane's was having 1 week off, 1 week on, and I got on at Eddie's factory, who there's Holocaust people was running Eddie's factory, and it was a good factory to work for. And I worked on sewing WWII uniforms. I set the machine and sewed on WWII uniforms for Eddie. And what with the snow and the blizzards and everything, they had a lot of work time that was shut down. So this one day, It was my week supposed to work at Shane's. I went to Shane's to work. They said, no, we had to change weeks around, so we didn't get to tell you. I said, okay. So I went to Eddie's. He said, no, I don't have anything for you to do today. I said, well, okay then. I guess before I go home, I'll go to the unemployment office and sign up for unemployment for this week. I didn't get to the bottom of the steps. He used to call me. He said, get back up here. I got you something to do. And he had me working all week. So I didn't have to go there. So, I'm not sure what else to talk about.
Thank you. This concludes our interview with Genavieria Owen on 31 August 2025. It's the day of the Evansville Wartime 80th anniversary celebration of the end of World War II.